What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel. Today is the last iteration of my college football playoff and New Year's Six bowl game predictions. Where do we stand as I sit here and talk to you today in the playoff picture? I think it's pretty easy to understand. Later on today, in about a couple hours after this video here goes live, I will be uploading some college football playoff scenarios and what can happen for some teams to get into the playoff field. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive into this video. There are a ton of changes being made from last week, and we're going to go ahead and dive into it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, anything like that to help support the channel. Sorry my hair is such a mess today, but anyways, let's go ahead and dive in talking about some football. For the playoff matchups, we do have two changes. We're going to start off with the 2 versus 3 matchup, the undefeated Michigan Wolverines coming off that win against the Ohio State Buckeyes, and then the TCU Horned Frogs. They are 2 versus 3 right now in the playoff poll. They are my 2 versus 3. They're both favorites to go win their conference championship games, and I see no reason why, as of right now, these two teams do not get into the college football playoff. Michigan, I absolutely think is a playoff lock at this point. Not necessarily a lock for a top 2 spot, but Michigan is a lock. I think they are firmly in the college football playoff. What a season the Wolverines have had. And as of this moment right now, got them playing in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. That's one of the playoff semifinals. On the other side, the TCU Horned Frogs. They've been the comeback kids all year long, being able to come back from some pretty tricky situations, being able to make their games competitive, and being able to pull out some wins in last-second play. You have that game against Oklahoma State, the game against Baylor there as well. So TCU's had some pretty close performances this year. The game against Kansas you see there as well. But both of these teams absolutely deserving of a shot to get into the college football playoff. And I'll talk more about this in my video coming out later today. Michigan, a playoff lock. TCU, there's still some debate on whether or not they're a lock. Personally, in my opinion, I would put TCU in the playoff no matter win or lose. And I guess, yes, I suppose, depending on how you lose that game to Kansas State this weekend. But I think TCU's in the playoff no matter what. I think they've shown it. They've proven it. Yeah, I know a lot of really close one-possession games that they've been able to come back from. But I like the way that TCU's been playing. Max Duggan and company have been playing really well. I personally think TCU's a lock. I know the committee doesn't see it that way, so you probably got to win to get in. And again, I'll explain more of this in my next video. Moving on to the other playoff semifinal, which as of right now stands as the Georgia Bulldogs and the USC Trojans, which I deem likely to happen. Now, my prediction, well, again, you'll have to find out until Friday on what I think is actually going to happen in these conference championship games. But as far as right now, you do have the 1 versus 4, the Georgia Bulldogs facing off with the USC Trojans. Georgia, over here, right, is a playoff lock. They are not going anywhere. Win or lose to LSU, they are in the college football playoff. Again, not necessarily locked into a top 2 spot, but they are locked into a college football playoff spot, that is for sure. USC, on the other hand, what a fantastic season it's been for Lincoln Riley, for Caleb Williams, for Jordan Addison, and I could just keep rattling off names on that USC team. But for USC, the job this weekend is simple. You win, and you're in. You lose, and you go home. Georgia's been playing really well this entire year, so again, they are not going anywhere. But the USC Trojans, the playoff conversation is very interesting right now, and yet it seems very, very simple when you look at it. Again, if Georgia, Michigan, TCU, USC all win, they're all in the college football playoff, but depending on what else happens, there could definitely be some conversation for a team like Ohio State to still slip in to the college football playoff. But as of right now, that's what I have as my playoff predictions. I do believe that Georgia, USC, Michigan, and TCU are the best 4 teams right now, and they are in the college football playoff. So moving on to the rest of the New Year's Six bowl game predictions, we got the Tennessee Volunteers and the Clemson Tigers here in the Capital One Orange Bowl. Tennessee should have a record of 10-2 and 6-2 down there. So my apologies for that graphical error. But Tennessee, what a season it's been. Besides the news that Hendon Hooker tore his ACL, which is just absolutely horrible. I hate injuries at every single level, no matter who it is, no matter what team it's for. You always hate to see a player get hurt. So Tennessee, we'll see if Joe Milton can lead them to some good things in the upcoming bowl game, no matter where they go. I think Tennessee's in a New Year's Six bowl game. I think that's pretty much set in stone. I have them going to the Capital One Orange Bowl. What a season it's been for Josh Heupel and company. And then for the Clemson Tigers, I got them going to the Orange Bowl here as well. I do believe that Clemson does have the better shot to beat North Carolina. Again, you'll have to find out my actual prediction tomorrow on who I think is going to win that game. But the winner of that game, whether it be Clemson, whether it be North Carolina, will be in the Capital One Orange Bowl. And as of right now, I got to give that one to the Clemson Tigers. So they also are the highest ranked team out of the ACC in the college football playoff poll. So that's where I'm putting Clemson in the Capital One Orange Bowl to face off with the Tennessee Volunteers. And moving on to the All-State Sugar Bowl, this is where Alabama gets the spot as that highest ranked SEC team. LSU would have 4 losses after their conference championship game. I don't necessarily know that would be enough for LSU to get into the Sugar Bowl, much less a New Year's Six bowl game. So that's why I got the Alabama Crimson Tide here in the Sugar Bowl, facing off with what could be your Big 12 champions or Big 12 runner-ups, the Kansas State Wildcats. 9-3, a tremendous season for Kansas State. I know they had to deal with quite a fair amount of injuries, especially the likes of Adrian Martinez. Will Howard was hurt at times, but Deuce Vaughn has really kept this team going. This defense has stepped up in big ways this season, and Kansas State absolutely deserving of a New Year's Six bowl spot right now. Win or lose, I don't see a way that Texas ends up slotting in here, and maybe possibly if and only if the playoff committee were to see TCU lose to Kansas State and then fall out, TCU might get that New Year's Six spot. But as Big 12 runner-ups currently standing, as TCU are the current favorites to win the Big 12, Kansas State is here in the All-State Sugar Bowl. All right, moving on to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Penn State back in a spot for a New Year's Six bowl game. They had a tremendous season. Penn State put themselves back on the map this year with that 10-2 season. James Franklin likely somewhat saving his job. And again, their only 2 losses were to Ohio State and Michigan, 2 teams that the committee have ranked in their top 5. So no shame whatsoever in what Penn State's been able to do this year. It's been a fantastic season. That running back room, they finally were able to get it figured out with Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, and some other players back there as well. Lots of great talent on this Penn State team this year, and I think right now they're deserving of a New Year's Six bowl game spot. And then the Tulane Green Wave here as my group of 5 champions standing as of right now. They play UCF in the conference title game. UCF beat Tulane earlier this year, so we'll see what happens in that American Conference Championship game. But again, I did not predict this big of a season for Tulane, right? I just didn't think it was going to happen. I had a funny suspicion feeling that Tulane was going to put out something big this year or maybe pull off a couple big upsets. But Tulane has been the featured team in the American Athletic Conference all season long. Michael Pratt, Tajee Spears, that Green Wave defense, some really good moments out of this team. They right now standing are my group of 5 champion. And then headed to the Rose Bowl game. Yeah, this is where I got the Ohio State Buckeyes heading back to the Rose Bowl. I know Buckeye fans really disappointed you lose to Michigan for the 2nd straight year. But hey, you have another double-digit win season. You go 11-1, better than you did in the regular season last year. Tough for Buckeye fans to hear that they won't be playing for a conference championship game. However, when you look at what Ohio State's done throughout the year, it's been a great success. C.J. Stroud probably going to end up being a Heisman finalist. Yeah, your running backs were never really healthy, but when they're together, they're really, really good. You do have JSN out, but you still have the best receiver in college football in Marvin Harrison. Lots of other weapons, and the defense has stepped up tremendously. So if Ohio State can't quite sneak their way into the college football playoff, meaning they don't get enough help to do so, Ohio State will find themselves right here in the Rose Bowl game, which I know some Ohio State fans will take, and others will look at as a disappointment. As for the Washington Huskies, though, no disappointment here. What a phenomenal season it was for Kalen DeBoer, Michael Penix, and the Washington Huskies. They've really worked their tail off this year. No pun intended, of course, as their mascot is the Huskies. But I don't believe that even if Utah were to beat USC, that they would get a shot in the Rose Bowl game here. They may, and we may see a rematch of the Rose Bowl game last year between Ohio State and Utah. Utah may still find themselves in a Rose Bowl game here. I just don't think that is going to be the case. I believe Washington will end up nabbing that spot. It's been a fantastic season for the Huskies. So there are all my New Year's 6 and college football playoff predictions, but I'll remind you of my playoff predictions here. This is how the bracket looks in terms of what the playoff committee thinks right now, and this is what the playoff bracket, if all the favorites went out, will look like on Sunday. But again, guys, we are just a couple days away from finding out how this bracket is really going to shape out. So keep your eye on Conference Championship weekend this week because it could be chaotic, or it could be really, really simple. One of the two is going to happen. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Anything like that does help support my channel. And remember to play hard with Tailgate Harder. See all you guys later today when I talk some playoff scenarios. Goodbye.